Hello, today we're going to talk about what happens when you have upgraded to macOS Monterey, but then decide you don't like it or it won't run very well on your Mac. The solution is to downgrade back to Big Sur. But how do you do that? Keep watching and we'll show you. Before we get started, one of the things we're going to be talking about is recovery mode. Did you know there are lots of different combinations to boot into recovery mode, depending on which version of macOS you want to reinstall? We'll cover them all later in this video. The first step in downgrading your Mac is to make a backup. Even if you backed up your Mac before you upgraded to Monterey, you should make another one now. At the very least, you need to copy any files that you used or worked on after upgrading to Monterey to an external disk. We're going to wipe the startup disk entirely in a minute, so if you don't back up those files, they will be lost. It's fine to copy them to iCloud or Dropbox or Google Drive if there are only a few of them. Go ahead and do it now. We'll wait for you. If you have an Intel Mac made before 2018, you can go and make a cup of coffee or skip to the next step because this part only applies to Macs with Apple Silicon or the T2 chip. The reason we need to do this is that those Macs are configured by default not to be able to start up from an external disk, so we need to change that. We've put a link in the description that you can use to check whether your Mac has a T2 chip if you're not sure. Here's how to change the security settings to allow you to boot from an external disk or USB stick. First, start up your Mac in recovery mode. Hold down Command R when you see the Apple logo. If you have a silicone-based Mac, turn on your Mac and continue to press and hold the power button until you see the startup options. Select the user, click Next, and then enter the password. When you see the macOS Utilities window, choose Startup Security Utility from the menu bar. Choose Enter macOS Password, then type in the admin name and password. Under External Boot, select Allow Booting from External Media. Restart your Mac again as usual this time. Hey, it's worth mentioning here that if you are downgrading from Monterey because your Mac is struggling to run it, there are a few simple things you can do to make it run faster. That might mean you don't have to downgrade after all. There's a really simple way to run maintenance routines and optimize your Mac. Use the optimization and maintenance modules in CleanMyMac X. CleanMyMac X is a reliable Mac cleaning and maintenance tool that is notarized by Apple. You can download the app for free, and there's a link in the description. There are a lot of different tools in those modules that free up RAM, reindex Spotlight, and repair disk permissions. It can also tell you which apps are using lots of resources and which apps have hung and may be slowing down your Mac. It's definitely worth a try before you downgrade. Now back to the matter at hand. The next step is to create an installer disk to install Big Sur on your Mac. Not everyone needs to do this. If your Mac shipped with Big Sur installed, or if you want to downgrade to the version of the operating system it did ship with, maybe it was Catalina or Mojave, and you have an Intel Mac, you don't need to do this step. You can skip to the next stage app. First of all, you'll need to get a copy of Big Sur. We've put a link in the description that will take you to a page on Apple's website that links to an installer for Big Sur. Download Big Sur and wait for the installer to launch. When it does, click on the File menu and choose Quit. The Big Sur installer should now be in your Applications folder. Go to the Utilities folder in your Applications folder and launch Disk Utility. Use Disk Utility to format an external hard drive or USB stick. It needs to be at least 16 gigabytes. As macOS Extended Journaled or APFS. Call the newly formatted disk BigSurInstaller, no spaces. Go back to the Utilities folder and launch Terminal. We've put a terminal command in the description. Copy and paste it into the terminal window and press Return. You'll also need to type in your administrator password when it prompts you. Next, type the letter Y and press Return. Now you just have to wait. Once it's finished, you will have an installation disk for macOS Big Sur. You can use that at any time you need to install Big Sur on a Mac, so keep it safe. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit scary. We're going to completely erase your Mac startup disk. That's why we said it's so important that you back it up. Time for one last check to make sure you've copied all the files you need onto another disk. Restart your Mac and hold down Command R when you see the Apple logo. If you have a silicone-based Mac, turn on your Mac and continue to press and hold the power button until you see the startup options. Choose Disk Utility from macOS Utilities and press Continue. Select your startup disk and press Erase. Give the volume a name and choose APFS or macOS Extended Journaled for the format. Click Erase. When it's finished, quit Disk Utility. What to do next depends on whether you're going to install Big Sur from an external disk or whether you skipped that step earlier when we created a bootable installer. If you skipped it, here's what to do. Restart your Mac using Command-Shift-Option-R to enter the recovery mode and choose the option to reinstall the version of macOS that came with your Mac. That will install Big Sur if your Mac shipped with Big Sur. If it shipped with Catalina, it will install Catalina, and so on. Remember, we said earlier that there are several different keyboard combinations for entering recovery mode depending on the version of macOS you want to install. Well, that's another of them. Command-Shift-Option-R installs the version of macOS that came with your Mac. The other one is Command-Option-R, which installs the latest version of macOS that is compatible with your Mac. Those two only work on Intel Macs, though. If you created the installer, it's now time to install Big Sur from that. Plug in BigSurInstaller disk we made earlier. Restart your Mac while holding down the Option key. Choose the disk with the installer on it from the Startup Disk options. Click Continue. Big Sur will now install on your Mac. Once it has been installed, your Mac will restart. It will have all the settings and preferences set to default, and we will be like a fresh Mac. If you're happy with that, you don't need to do anything more except copying the files you backed up earlier back to your Mac from the backup disk. If you want to restore all the settings to the way they were before you upgraded to Monterey and you use Time Machine to make a backup, you can restore from Time Machine. This is what you need to do. Restart your Mac in recovery mode by holding down Command-R when you see the Apple logo. For a silicone-based Mac, turn on your Mac and continue to press and hold the power button until you see the Startup Options window. Choose Restore from the Time Machine backup. Press Continue. Choose the disk where your Time Machine backup is stored. Click Continue. Locate the most recent Big Sur backup on the disk, that is, the last one you made before upgrading to Monterey. Press Continue and wait for it to restore. And that's it, guys. That's how you downgrade your Mac from Monterey to Big Sur. Check out the description box for links, terminal commands, and additional info. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and thanks for watching.